Welcome back to the Classic and Current Gaming Podcast, a weekly podcast where we look at the history and development of video games. I'm your host, RxDude22. We're getting ever closer to the end of our Season 3 Top Nintendo Countdown. To recap where we're at so far, number 25 was Super Dodgeball, number 24, RC Pro-Am, number 23, Adventure Island, number 22, Kid Icarus, number 21, Duck Hunt, number 20, Gyromite, number 19, Tecmo Super Bowl, number 18, Double Dragon, number 17, Final Fantasy, number 16, DuckTales, number 15, Adventures of Lolo, number 14, Ninja Gaiden, number 13, Castlevania, number 12, Contra, number 11, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, number 10, Super Mario Bros. 2, number 9, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out!, and number 8, Mega Man 3. We're down to number 7 on our countdown. We had a previous iteration of this game in my countdown earlier on in Season 3, but this is a sequel to it. We are going to look at Adventure Island 2 today. Here we go! Adventure Island 2 is a side-scrolling platform game developed by Now Production and published by Hudson Soft that was released for the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1991. It is a sequel to Adventure Island and the second game in the series for the NES. While the first game was an adaptation of Sega's Wonder Boy arcade game, Adventure Island 2 is an original work, as were most of the subsequent Adventure Island games. A portable version was also released for the Game Boy in 1992, titled Takahashi Meijin no Bokenjima 2, or Adventure Island Outside of Japan. Plot of the game. Master Higgins' girlfriend Tina has just been kidnapped by the evil witch doctor's persistent followers. 8 perilous islands are in control of the various monster minions, although 4 friendly dinosaurs would gladly ally themselves with those willing to brave the island's dangers and defeat their common oppressors. Thinking of how grateful his favorite lady will be when he comes to her rescue, Master Higgins embarks on a daunting quest to get to his honey. Gameplay. The rules of the game are the same as those in the original Adventure Island, with the main new feature being the addition of an inventory system. Before the player begins a stage, he can choose which of Higgins' animal friends to bring, if he has rescued any, as well as whether or not he should bring one of the stone hammers he has accumulated. Because of this, the player can no longer upgrade to shooting fireballs when he picks a second hammer. Instead, it gets added as a reserve hammer to the player's inventory. The checkpoint system has been eliminated, and if the player dies in the middle of a stage, they must restart from the beginning. However, the stages are significantly shorter than in the previous game. When a player strikes a place where a hidden egg is located, it will play a different noise that will serve as an indicator of its location. The bonus zones are now accessed by picking up a key located inside these hidden eggs. Some of these keys will also transport the player to an item room or a shortcut to the next island. There are now underwater stages, as well as vertical scrolling stages. When the player completes a stage riding a skateboard, he does not get to take it to the next stage like he could in the previous game. When a player completes a stage, he will be asked to choose one of 10 spinning eggs that will give him a certain number of points. The player can now backtrack during a stage as well, but only up to a certain point. The boss of each island awaits the player on a specific stage at the beginning. However, if the player is defeated while fighting a boss, the boss will move to another area, forcing the player not only to clear his current stage, but also another one in order to fight the boss. There are 4 types of dinosaur friends that Higgins can ride. These animal friends are summoned when the player collects a playing card suit hidden inside an egg, and they include a blue Camptosaurus, summoned by a heart card, that attacks with its tail and can walk on ice without sliding, a red Camptosaurus, Spade, that can breathe fire and swim over lava until a certain point, a Pterodon, Clover, that can fly over obstacles and drop stones, and an Elamosaurus, Diamond, the only dinosaur that can survive in underwater stages. The others will be lost when used underwater and can help Higgins swim faster. Reception. All game editor Skylar Miller praised the game over the original, specifically its improved graphics, a map screen, and most importantly, 4 dinosaur buddies for Master Higgins to ride, each with their own special ability. All game publications gave the score 3.5 stars out of 5, and GamePro magazine gave it a score of 16 out of 25. Other media. Adventure Island 2 is one of the video games featured in the manga titled Cyberboy by Nagi Noriaki, published by Koro Comic and Shogakukan from 1991 to 1993. Cover artwork for the packaging was illustrated by Shelley L. Hunter. On the podcast today, we also have a review from NintendoLife.com. The first Adventure Island was nothing more than a copy of Wonder Boy with some redone graphics. While Wonder Boy quickly became more of an action RPG series, Adventure Island stuck to the platformer formula for a while before eventually following the same path. The general mechanics are still the same. Higgins' girlfriend has been kidnapped by the evil witch doctor, so he's got to fight his way across 8 different islands to rescue her, each divided up into several stages. You still run from left to right, grabbing fruit to keep your energy up, and the occasional skateboard to make you go faster, at the cost of not being able to stop, or ferry to make you temporarily invincible. To give Higgins a bit more power, he now has the ability to find dinosaurs, which he can hop on to give him an extra hit point, as well as a different attack. By default, he only throws his trademark arcing axes, which usually get the job done, but aren't very strong. So it's wise to try and stick to dinosaurs as much as possible. Should you get hit while on one, it's not like Super Mario World where Yoshi will run around allowing you to jump back on him. The dinosaur will instantly disappear. However, if you find a dinosaur while already riding one, you'll hop onto the new one and the old one will be added to your reserve supply. Before each level, you can see your amount of reserve dinosaurs and axes. If you ever come across a tough level, you can use your reserves to instantly start the level with a weapon or a dinosaur. Of course, it's wise to try and conserve them as much as possible, as you're probably going to need them towards the end. As in most Adventure Island games, there are a few secrets to find in certain levels, which can get you anything from a free dinosaur to a warp to the next island. If you just keep attacking as you're running along, you'll eventually hit something seemingly invisible. Go to its location and jump there to find a secret egg with your reward. A frequent complaint about Wonder Boy and Adventure Island was that the protagonist was very annoying to control and would generally slip and slide all over the place. This has been resolved somewhat in the sequel, but it's still not entirely perfect and can cost you many lives if you're not careful. Thankfully, boss fights, unlike the first game, do not all look near identical and use the exact same attack. The ones here actually look and act completely different, so you just can't use the same strategy over and over. One good thing Adventure Island always had going for it was its length, which stays true here. Except for one island, they're all quite long, having about 7 or 8 levels each. The levels aren't particularly long either, so frustrating situations where you die at the end of a very long stage are unlikely to happen. Although the graphics of the first adventure are pretty iconic, none of its sequels looked at all like it. Those on the NES all went for an even more cartoony, cleaner look, which looks quite decent. It wasn't too hard to improve on the music, as the original only featured a handful of songs that were all played to death. There's a few more different pieces here, and they're not nearly as pronounced so as not potentially to drive you insane. Conclusion. Adventure Island 2 is quite similar to its predecessor in many ways, but with its slightly better control and handful of gameplay additions, it's just that little bit more entertaining. It's also a lot more accessible due to a reserve item system and the shorter stages compared to the rather brutal original game. Giving it a score of 8 out of 10. All information in the podcast today was provided by Wikipedia and NintendoLife.com. And thus concludes episode 51 of the Classic and Current Gaming Podcast, and number 7 of our Season 3 Top 25 NES Game Countdown. You can check out the podcast several different ways. You can watch the video presentation of it on YouTube, or you can listen to it on Spotify or your other favorite listening channel as well. We are closer and closer to the end here. We only have 6 more weeks to go. Who's going to be number 1? There's only one way to find out. Stick around with me as we count down all the way to number 1. It's been RxDude22 from the Classic and Current Gaming Podcast signing out. Keep on gaming. See you on the next stream. Be good to each other. And you'll hear and see me on the podcast next week. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.